If you are blaming Pinterest because you're not seeing sales from your Pinterest ads, you're probably looking in the wrong direction. Thinking your audience isn't on Pinterest or it's just window shoppers, you couldn't be more wrong. It's most likely an issue between your Pinterest ads campaign and the product page. And that's what we're going to talk about here in this video so you can actually change up your campaigns and start seeing sales from today onwards. For the ones who are new around here, my name is Magdalena. I've been running Pinterest ads for the last 5 years, specifically for e-commerce. And during these 5 years, I've worked with a very broad range of different niches, and I can actually prove to you that your Pinterest audience is most likely on Pinterest and ready to buy. This video is part of a series about Pinterest ads data and how to use it to optimize your Pinterest ads and your funnel in general for Pinterest. So today we're going to look at the data that's actually telling you something about whether you're targeting the right people, and also whether the data is telling you something about, is there something off on your product page, or is there something that is happening why people are actually not purchasing? And there's so much that your audience is going to be telling you. So I would challenge you to not think that Pinterest ads is just not for your business, but pull out the data, watch along with this video, and see what the data is telling you, because most likely there are some simple tweaks that you can do and get your campaigns profitable pretty quickly and pretty easily. So the first thing I see very often is that business owners think, okay, but Pinterest is so great because it's very cheap, top of funnel traffic. And while that is true, you still want to be really intentional with the top of funnel traffic you're actually trying to attract. So you are spending money to get the right people to your website. And how good would it actually be if that top of funnel traffic would also be willing to convert? Because people on Pinterest are willing to. So you want to optimize your campaigns to actually attract that cheaper top of funnel traffic, obviously, but also get those people who are the top of funnel traffic to purchase on your website. What I see very often is that people are really focused on the CPM and the CPA, which is really great. And I think I totally understand, especially if you're running ads and you're not very seasoned and running a lot of campaigns. But it's so much better to actually focus on increasing that back end, increasing your average order value and increasing lifetime value of your customer, because it's so much easier to actually increase that compared to actually decreasing your CPM or your CPC or CPA. Because there, when you want to decrease your CPM or CPC, you're actually at the mercy of the platform, especially during this last season of the year, because advertisers are willing to spend more budget because they know their customers are ready to purchase more and purchase more easily. So the competition is 100% gonna go up over this season. Your CPM is going to rise, your CPA and CPC is going to rise. So please brace yourself for this and don't trip yourself up too much about this. Focus on getting these people in, and then after that, increasing your average order value and the lifetime value of your customers, so you can actually make sure that after you break even or have a good ROAS, you can actually get more out of these customers as well. One of the metrics you do have control over is a CTR. And as I discussed in the video about ad creatives, your CTR can also tell you something about a mismatch between your ad creative and your product page. And this is where we want to start, because it's the beginning of the funnel and the beginning of all the metrics that you have actually an influence over. So if your CTR is really low, you're going to have an ad creative issue, and you want to watch that video about Pinterest ads creatives. At the same time, if you have a high CTR, but people are landing on your website and they're just not doing anything there, not adding to cart, not checking out, you actually want to have like go to and watch that video as well and improve your ad creative, because there is a mismatch between what the ad creative is promising them and what is on your landing page. And that easiest way to do this is to just change up your ad creative. However, if people are actually landing on your website and they are spending time there and they're just adding to cart but not checking out, there's a bunch of other things that could be happening. So I think there's always like a basic one-on-one checklist that you want to walk through. And the first one is how quick is the loading time? If it takes forever to load that page, people are just not going to wait. They're going to get bored and they're just going to click away. Not worth it. They have a time span like of they have the concentration span of a squirrel, and you're gonna have to treat them that way because they're spending their money with you. So they're basically the ones who decide whether it's working or not. Then the second part is checking all the buttons, because you don't want to know how often it actually happens that it's really hard to actually add to cart. How hard it is that once people add to cart and they continue shopping, to open that cart at the top right of the screen, to start the checkout process again. Or sometimes that cart button is really hidden and it's really hard to actually finish your checkout. This is something, if you're not seeing those add to carts, you might also want to check on your product page as well. If we're seeing add to carts and people are just not checking out, there's a couple of things that you can do as well. Like I already told you, you have to make it really easy to and smooth to check out. And one of the things is making sure it's easy to open the cart, but also that people don't have to fill out a gazillion things in the forms. Like remove everything that's not strictly necessarily and make it really quickly so that people can check out very fast. They are getting really distracted. So you have to make sure they're actually thinking, okay, I'll just quickly finish this before I'm moving on to the next task. This is something that you want to keep in mind when you're auditing your checkout. Then there's another thing that if people initiate the checkout, but there's suddenly a lot of hidden costs that are popping up. Think about shipping costs. If they're not in the US and you are from the US, it might be really expensive to actually ship to Europe. Be upfront about this. Be upfront about VAT added to a purchase, because if people already know what they can expect, that there's an added amount of dollars or euros to their purchase, they are bracing themselves from it and it's not going to be a surprise. But if you're going to basically surprise them in the checkout when they're picking their country and it's going to be like double the price, they're just going to leave the checkout and you paid for this whole process for people who are actually dropping off, while you could really easily resolve this. So this is really something that is worth to give it a try. Now people are in the checkout and they're filling out all the information. They need to finish up their purchase. And this is the moment that people often get very distracted. They're either sitting on the bus or public transport, putting their phone in their pocket because they have to get out of the bus or the train. Or maybe their kid is shouting and they're like, okay, I just need to I just need to go there first and I'll do this thing later. And I think I can't remember the exact number, but about maybe two-thirds of the cars are actually abandoned. And you want to make sure that you are reconnecting with those people who abandoned their cart. They added to cart, they just didn't check out, but they maybe left their email or their phone, and you can actually reconnect with them and saying, hey, you left something in your cart. Maybe you want to check out at a later moment. We're going to save this item for you. And you really want to focus on recovering those sales because it's so much cheaper than constantly having to retarget those people again and again. If this step is missing, you're going to see that a lot of people add to cart but are not checking out, and they're also not flagged as a sale in Pinterest because you just didn't recoup the sale. So these are very easy steps, I think, to implement if you're seeing that people are actually adding to cart but not checking out. And you can see here, this is all coming from your Pinterest data. So I want to challenge you, open that ads reporting dashboard and go and see, am I seeing any of the metrics that Magdalena just talked about? And is there something I can actually improve today? If you want a shortcut and the whole complete thing all together in one place, make sure to get the ads, Pinterest ads recovery below this video. I left it in the description because it will be the shortcut to really getting your Pinterest ads profitable really fast. In the next video, we're going to talk about if you have improved along with your data, if you've optimized your Pinterest ads, what other ways are there to actually increase the profits from your Pinterest ads? So make sure to watch that video and I'll see you in the next one.